For centuries, the world's richest travelers carried fortunes without banks, without vaults, and often without a single gold coin. Instead, their wealth fit inside a small pouch. Hidden within it were gemstones worth enough to buy land, fund caravans, or secure political alliances across kingdoms. But here's the surprising part. Not every precious stone was trusted. Some lost their value the moment they crossed a border. Others became so respected that wealthy merchants, nobles, and rulers carried them across deserts, mountains, and entire continents for generations. In this countdown, you'll discover the 10 gemstones that came closest to becoming history's ultimate portable wealth, and the surprising qualities that made them more trusted than gold in many parts of the ancient world. By the end, you'll understand why one tiny gemstone could represent an entire fortune, and why number 1 changed the way the world stored wealth forever. Let's begin with number 10. Number 10, Carnelian. Long before vaults, wire transfers, or international banks existed, wealth had to move at the same speed as the people who owned it. For elite merchants, tribal leaders, and nomadic nobles crossing deserts and mountain passes, carrying heavy bags of silver or gold was often more dangerous than practical. Every extra pound slowed a caravan, attracted thieves, and increased the cost of every journey. What they needed was wealth that could disappear into a small leather pouch without losing its value. That is where carnelian quietly earned its place in history. At first glance, carnelian hardly resembles the kind of gemstone associated with immense fortunes. Its warm shades of deep orange and reddish amber lack the dazzling brilliance of diamonds or the royal prestige of rubies. Yet for thousands of years, this resilient variety of chalcedony moved through some of the world's busiest trade networks, from ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia to Persia, the Arabian Peninsula, and the Silk Road. Its appeal extended beyond beauty. Carnelian was remarkably durable, resisting the scratches and chips that could destroy more fragile materials during months of travel. It was also easily recognized by experienced traders, difficult to mistake for ordinary riverstones, and widely admired across multiple cultures. In an age when trust determined the success of every transaction, familiarity could be just as valuable as rarity. Archaeologists have uncovered carnelian beads, seals, and engraved signet stones in royal burials, merchant settlements, and ancient caravan cities separated by thousands of miles. Their presence reveals something remarkable. These stones were not simply decorative ornaments. They circulated through the same commercial networks that carried spices, silk, precious metals, and ideas across continents. A handful of polished carnelian pieces could represent portable wealth that survived harsh climates, political upheaval, and years of constant movement. Yet despite all of these advantages, carnelian had one important limitation. It was respected almost everywhere, but it was never rare enough to become the preferred store of immense fortunes among the wealthiest elites. And that raises an even more intriguing question. What gemstone was trusted across even more kingdoms, accepted by more cultures, and capable of carrying greater prestige without saying a single word? That answer begins with number 9. Number 9, turquoise. Not every form of wealth depends on rarity alone. Throughout history, some of the most valuable assets were the ones that inspired confidence wherever they appeared. For the wealthy elites who spent their lives moving between distant markets and unfamiliar rulers, recognition often mattered just as much as price. A gemstone accepted across cultures could accomplish something even gold sometimes struggled to do. It could establish trust before a single negotiation began. Few gemstones achieved that better than turquoise. Formed over millions of years as copper-rich groundwater reacted with aluminum and phosphate minerals in arid landscapes, turquoise emerged in striking shades of sky blue and green that were almost impossible to ignore. Major deposits stretched across Persia, the Sinai Peninsula, Central Asia, and later the American Southwest, placing the gemstone at the heart of several of history's greatest trade routes. Its extraordinary reach made it something more than an ornament. Persian traders prized it. Central Asian merchants recognized it instantly. Nobles throughout the Middle East displayed it as a symbol of status, while caravans traveling the Silk Road carried turquoise alongside silk, spices, incense, and precious metals. a gemstone that could be identified and appreciated across multiple civilizations, reduced uncertainty during trade, and in the ancient world, reducing uncertainty often meant reducing risk. That widespread acceptance gave turquoise a unique advantage as portable wealth. Unlike bulky cargo that required guards and pack animals, a collection of carefully selected stones occupied almost no space. They resisted the changing fashions of individual kingdoms because their reputation had already spread beyond any single empire. Their value was reinforced not by one ruler or one currency, but by generations of merchants who understood exactly what they were holding. Archaeological discoveries continue to support that reputation. Turquoise has been found in royal tombs, ceremonial treasures, merchant settlements, and long-distance trading centers separated by thousands of kilometers. These discoveries reveal a remarkable pattern. The same gemstone repeatedly appeared wherever prosperous trade networks flourished. It became part of a shared visual language of wealth, recognized long before standardized financial systems connected distant civilizations. Even so, turquoise still had one weakness. Although it traveled widely, its value could vary significantly depending on color, quality, and origin. The wealthiest nomadic elites often sought something even more practical, something smaller, tougher, and capable of concentrating remarkable value into a handful of stones without sacrificing durability. That search leads to number 8, a gemstone whose greatest strength was not its beauty, but its ability to survive journeys that destroyed almost everything else. Number 8, garnet. By this point, one pattern has become impossible to ignore. The world's wealthiest travelers were not simply searching for beautiful gemstones. They were searching for reliability. Every caravan crossing deserts, mountain passes, and political frontiers faced the same challenge. Whatever represented their wealth had to survive the journey before it could preserve its value. That is precisely where garnet quietly distinguished itself. Unlike gemstones prized primarily for their brilliance, garnet earned its reputation through remarkable resilience. This diverse mineral group forms deep within the Earth's crust under intense heat and pressure, producing crystals that range from deep crimson and wine red to vibrant orange and even rich green. While collectors admire this variety today, ancient merchants cared about something far more practical. Garnet was hard enough to endure years of travel, resistant enough to remain attractive after constant handling, and compact enough to concentrate significant value into a surprisingly small collection of stones. Its importance can still be traced through archaeology. Garnets have been uncovered in elite burials, royal jewelry, ceremonial weapons, and trading settlements stretching from the Roman Empire and the Byzantine world to Persia, India, and the great commercial cities connected by the Silk Road. Their widespread presence reveals more than changing fashion. It reflects a gemstone that repeatedly moved through international trade networks, carried by people whose livelihoods depended on transporting valuable goods safely across enormous distances. For high-ranking merchants and nomadic elites, portability was only part of the equation. Every additional chest of silver increased the need for guards. Every bar of gold added weight to a caravan already burdened with food, water, and trade goods. Garnets offered a different advantage. A carefully selected pouch could represent considerable wealth while remaining discreet, durable, and remarkably easy to transport. Perhaps even more importantly, garnets retained their appearance despite harsh environments. Wind-driven sand, constant movement, and changing climates could damage delicate luxury items, but garnets were far less vulnerable to the daily punishment of long-distance travel. In a world where fortunes often crossed continents on horseback or camelback, durability was not merely convenient. It was an essential financial advantage. Yet even garnet had its limitations. Its widespread availability meant that, despite its practicality, it rarely conveyed the exclusivity sought by the highest levels of society. The most powerful elites increasingly desired a gemstone whose rarity alone could elevate its perceived worth far beyond its physical size. That pursuit leads to number 7, a gemstone so convincing that some of history's greatest treasures were mistaken for it, proving that perception itself could become one of the most valuable forms of wealth. Number 7, Spinel. As trade routes became more sophisticated, the definition of portable wealth began to change. Durability and recognition were no longer enough. The wealthiest merchants, nobles, and caravan leaders increasingly sought something rare, something capable of concentrating extraordinary value into the smallest possible space, while remaining desirable across multiple civilizations. Spinel quietly answered that demand. Formed under extreme geological conditions within marble-rich metamorphic rocks, fine spinel developed in only a handful of significant deposits, most famously in the rugged mountains of what is now Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and Myanmar. These regions occupied strategic positions along the Silk Road, where caravans carrying silk, spices, precious metals, and gemstones connected east and west for centuries. Unlike more common ornamental stones, exceptional spinel was never abundant. Large, transparent crystals displaying vivid crimson or rich pink hues were remarkably scarce, making them highly attractive to rulers and elite merchants alike. Scarcity alone, however, was only part of its appeal. Spinel possessed outstanding hardness, excellent durability, and remarkable stability under changing climates. It could endure months of travel across deserts, freezing mountain passes, and crowded caravan routes without losing its brilliance. For wealthy travelers whose fortunes depended on mobility, these qualities transformed spinel from a beautiful gemstone into a practical store of concentrated value. Historical records reveal that some of history's most celebrated royal treasuries contained magnificent spinels long before gemology could distinguish them from rubies. Their presence in imperial collections across Persia, Central Asia, India, and later Europe demonstrates something even more significant than mistaken identity. The world's most powerful rulers consistently sought these stones because they represented prestige, rarity, and enduring wealth, qualities recognized regardless of language or political borders. In many ways, Spinel illustrates an important truth about portable wealth. Value is not determined solely by weight or size. It emerges from a combination of scarcity, durability, craftsmanship, and the collective confidence of those willing to exchange something equally valuable in return. Long before modern certification laboratories existed, reputation often traveled faster than scientific knowledge. Yet for the highest-ranking elites, even spinel was not always the ultimate answer. There was another gemstone that, in entire regions of Asia, commanded a level of trust so profound that its worth often transcended gold itself, not because it sparkled more brilliantly, but because generations of culture had transformed it into the very definition of enduring wealth. That remarkable story begins with number 6. Number 6, Jade. If Spinel demonstrated how rarity could concentrate wealth, Jade revealed something even more powerful. Sometimes the greatest store of value is not determined by scarcity alone. It is created by centuries of unwavering belief. Unlike many gemstones that gain prominence through international trade, Jade built its reputation over thousands of years within civilizations that regarded it as far more than an object of beauty. In large parts of East Asia, particularly China, Jade became deeply woven into ideas of status, virtue, inheritance, and enduring prosperity. By the time vast trade networks connected kingdoms across the continent, its value had already been reinforced by generations of cultural trust. Geologically, the finest jade appears as either jadeite or nephrite, two remarkably tough minerals capable of surviving heavy impact far better than many harder gemstones. This extraordinary toughness made jade especially well-suited for life on the move. While other luxury materials could fracture under the constant demands of long-distance travel, high-quality jade retained both its appearance and its integrity, even after years of handling. For wealthy merchants, influential families, and regional elites, that durability carried practical advantages. A finely carved jade pendant, disc, or ornament could preserve significant value while occupying very little space. More importantly, it represented a form of wealth that local rulers, traders, and collectors already understood. In societies where jade symbolized honor and legitimacy, ownership itself conveyed credibility long before negotiations even began. Archaeological discoveries reinforce this remarkable legacy. Magnificent jade objects have been recovered from imperial tombs, noble burials, ceremonial sites, and elite residences spanning thousands of years. Many pieces show little evidence of everyday use, suggesting they were carefully preserved across generations, not simply as decorations, but as enduring repositories of wealth and family prestige. Jade also demonstrates an important economic principle that still applies today. An asset does not become valuable solely because it is rare. It becomes valuable when an entire culture consistently agrees that it deserves protection, admiration, and exchange. That collective confidence can sustain value for centuries, even through political upheaval and changing dynasties. Yet despite its extraordinary cultural authority, Jade had one important limitation. Its highest value remained closely tied to specific regions where its significance was universally understood. The world's most mobile elites often needed a gemstone whose prestige extended far beyond a single civilization, one recognized from royal courts to international trade hubs across continents. That brings us to number 5, where beauty, rarity, and global prestige began to converge into one of history's most universally admired forms of portable wealth. Number 5. Sapphire. By now, a larger pattern has begun to emerge. The gemstones trusted by history's wealthiest travelers were never chosen for beauty alone. Each offered something different: durability, recognition, rarity, or cultural significance. But as kingdoms expanded and international trade flourished, another quality became increasingly valuable. The greatest portable wealth did more than preserve fortune. It projected authority. Few gemstones accomplished that more convincingly than sapphire. Created deep within the earth under immense heat and pressure, sapphire is a variety of corundum, one of the hardest naturally occurring minerals. Its exceptional hardness allowed it to withstand the rigors of long-distance travel, while its rich blue color, along with rarer pink, yellow, and colorless varieties, made it instantly distinguishable from most other gemstones. Yet its true power lay not in its physical properties alone. Across Persia, India, Sri Lanka, and later throughout Europe, sapphire gradually became associated with rulers, judges, religious leaders, and powerful families. Possessing an exceptional sapphire was not merely a display of wealth. It communicated stability, influence, and legitimacy. In diplomatic exchanges, royal gifts, and elite collections, the gemstone often carried symbolic weight far beyond its market value. For affluent merchants and nomadic elites moving between courts and commercial centers, this reputation created a unique advantage. A high-quality sapphire represented concentrated wealth, but it also served as an object immediately recognized by influential buyers and noble patrons. Its desirability crossed political boundaries because its reputation had already spread through generations of trade, craftsmanship, and royal patronage. Historical records reveal sapphires appearing in royal treasuries, ceremonial regalia, and luxury trade routes linking South Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Their journey reflects an important truth about luxury assets. The most successful stores of wealth are often those that combine intrinsic rarity with broad social acceptance. The stronger the reputation, the easier the asset travels between cultures without losing its perceived value. Perhaps that is why sapphire became more than a gemstone. It became a portable statement of credibility. A person carrying an exceptional sapphire was not simply transporting wealth. They were carrying an object that many of the world's most influential societies had already agreed was worthy of admiration and protection. Yet even sapphire did not dominate the luxury trade on its own. There was another gemstone whose vivid green color captivated emperors, merchants, and conquerors alike. Unlike sapphire, its value was amplified by the rise of global commerce itself, transforming it into one of history's most internationally traded luxury assets. That remarkable story begins with number 4. Number 4. Emerald. A gemstone does not become truly powerful simply because it is rare. It becomes powerful when multiple civilizations compete to own it. That is exactly what happened with emerald. Long before global financial markets existed, emerald achieved something that very few luxury assets ever could. It generated demand across kingdoms that spoke different languages, followed different religions, and controlled entirely separate economies. From the royal courts of ancient Egypt to Persian merchants, Indian rulers, Ottoman elites, and later the monarchies of Europe, emerald developed a reputation that extended far beyond the region where it was mined. Geology played an important role in creating that reputation. Fine emerald forms only under an exceptionally uncommon combination of geological conditions involving beryllium-rich fluids interacting with chromium or vanadium-bearing rocks. These rare circumstances explain why high-quality emerald deposits have always been limited. Even in antiquity, exceptional crystals were difficult to obtain, making them natural candidates for preserving concentrated wealth. But rarity alone cannot explain emerald's extraordinary influence. Trade did. As commercial networks expanded across Africa, the Middle East, Central Asia, and eventually the Mediterranean, emerald became one of the few gemstones capable of moving seamlessly between vastly different cultures. Experienced traders recognized its value. Royal collectors desired it. Skilled craftsmen transformed rough crystals into symbols of prestige that could command astonishing prices wherever prosperous markets existed. For wealthy nomadic elites and long-distance merchants, this created a remarkable advantage. Instead of relying on a single kingdom's currency or carrying large quantities of precious metal, they could transport extraordinary value within a handful of carefully selected emeralds. Their worth did not depend on the authority of one ruler. It was reinforced by demand from many of the world's most influential centers of power simultaneously. Archaeological discoveries and historical records repeatedly place emeralds inside royal treasuries, ceremonial gifts, diplomatic exchanges, and elite collections. Their journey reveals an important economic principle that still resonates today. An asset becomes increasingly resilient when its demand is diversified across multiple markets rather than concentrated in one. That may be emerald's greatest legacy. It was not merely a beautiful gemstone, it was one of history's earliest examples of a luxury asset whose value transcended borders. Yet even emerald had one limitation. It remained closely tied to terrestrial mines and finite geological deposits. The next entry owed its extraordinary value to something entirely different. It was not carved from rock deep beneath the earth, but created by a living organism beneath the sea, proving that nature had another way of producing portable wealth capable of captivating the world's richest elites. That unexpected story begins with number 3. Number 3. Pearl. By now, every gemstone on this list has shared one defining characteristic. Each was forged deep within the earth through immense heat, pressure, and geological forces that unfolded over millions of years. Then comes one extraordinary exception. The pearl was never mined from a mountain, carried from a marble quarry, or extracted from ancient rock formations. Instead, it was created by a living creature beneath the sea, a completely different origin that gave it an aura unlike any other luxury asset of the ancient world. For wealthy merchants and nomadic elites, pearls represented something remarkably uncommon, concentrated value that required neither cutting nor polishing to reveal its beauty. A perfectly formed natural pearl emerged from the oyster with a soft, luminous glow that immediately distinguished it from virtually every other precious material known to early civilizations. Its rarity was almost impossible to exaggerate. Before cultured pearls transformed the modern market, discovering a single high-quality natural pearl required divers to search through thousands of wild oysters, often risking their lives in dangerous coastal waters. Every exceptional pearl represented not only beauty, but also extraordinary uncertainty and immense human effort. That scarcity created international demand stretching from the Persian Gulf and the Indian Ocean to the royal courts of Rome, India, China, and the Middle East. Historical records repeatedly describe pearls among the most coveted luxury possessions owned by emperors, queens, and powerful merchant families. Their value was understood across cultures, making them one of the few portable assets capable of crossing political borders with remarkable ease. Unlike gold, pearls required no mint, no official seal, and no ruler's approval to be admired. Their worth came from something far more universal, rarity that could be recognized instantly by experienced buyers. A small pouch containing only a handful of exceptional pearls could represent an astonishing concentration of wealth while remaining easy to transport across oceans, deserts, and mountain trade routes. Yet pearls also revealed the greatest weakness of organic luxury assets. They were far more vulnerable than the finest gemstones. Heat, chemicals, dryness, and improper storage could slowly diminish the luster that made them so valuable. For elites seeking wealth that could endure not merely years but generations, something even more resilient remained unmatched. That brings us to number 2, a gemstone whose intense color, extraordinary rarity, and unmatched concentration of value made it one of history's ultimate symbols of portable fortune. Number 2, ruby. Every gemstone encountered so far has revealed a different reason why wealthy travelers trusted portable luxury assets. Some earned that trust through durability, others through cultural significance or international demand. Ruby united all of those qualities, then added something even rarer: extraordinary concentration of value. Formed as the red variety of corundum and colored by trace amounts of chromium, fine ruby is among the rarest gemstones found in nature. The most exceptional crystals display an intensely saturated red with remarkable transparency, a combination so uncommon that even throughout history, only a tiny fraction of mined material ever reached the highest levels of quality. That rarity transformed ruby into far more than an object of admiration. It became an efficient vessel for preserving immense wealth. From the famed deposits of Myanmar's Mogok Valley to historic trade routes linking South Asia, Persia, and the great commercial centers of Central Asia, fine rubies circulated among rulers, elite merchants, and influential trading families. They appeared in royal treasuries, diplomatic gifts, ceremonial regalia, and private collections, not simply because they were beautiful, but because they represented value that could be carried almost effortlessly. For affluent nomadic elites constantly moving across political frontiers, this characteristic offered an extraordinary advantage. A single exceptional ruby weighing only a few carats could embody purchasing power that would otherwise require transporting substantial quantities of precious metal. Less weight meant greater mobility. Greater mobility reduced logistical risks, and fewer visible assets attracted less unwanted attention during long and often dangerous journeys. Historical records consistently place rubies among the most coveted gemstones in Asia, where rulers competed to acquire specimens of exceptional color and clarity. Their desirability was reinforced by scarcity, making outstanding stones increasingly valuable as demand expanded across neighboring kingdoms. Unlike commodities that fluctuated with local supply, truly remarkable rubies remained coveted wherever knowledgeable buyers gathered. Perhaps that explains why ruby became one of history's ultimate symbols of concentrated wealth. It demonstrated that extraordinary value did not need to occupy space. Sometimes an entire fortune could rest quietly inside a small silk pouch, protected not by its size, but by the universal admiration it inspired. Yet even ruby could not completely solve one challenge facing the world's wealthiest elites. Its value often depended on expert judgment of color, origin, and quality. There was still one gemstone that would eventually become the closest thing the luxury world had to an internationally recognized standard of portable wealth, an asset whose reputation transcended empires, currencies, and generations. That final story belongs to number 1. Number 1, diamond. Born more than 150 kilometers beneath the Earth's surface under immense pressure and extreme temperatures, diamonds are among nature's most remarkable geological creations. Their unrivaled hardness allowed them to survive conditions that would damage almost any other gemstone, while exceptional specimens combined rarity, beauty, and durability in proportions unlike anything the luxury world had ever seen. Yet geology alone does not explain why diamonds ultimately became the world's most universally recognized portable luxury asset. The real transformation occurred through commerce. As global trade expanded over the past several centuries, diamonds gradually evolved from rare royal treasures into gemstones supported by increasingly sophisticated systems of cutting, grading, documentation, and international exchange. For the first time in history, wealthy individuals could acquire stones whose quality could be evaluated through widely accepted standards, rather than relying solely on regional reputation or local tradition. That standardization fundamentally changed portable wealth. A remarkable diamond could be recognized, appreciated, and traded across continents by knowledgeable buyers who had never met each other, spoke different languages, or lived under different governments. Unlike many luxury assets, whose value depended heavily on a specific culture or dynasty, exceptional diamonds developed a reputation that transcended political borders and generations. For affluent travelers, merchant families, and later global investors, this combination offered an extraordinary advantage. Enormous value could be concentrated into an object small enough to fit inside a pocket, durable enough to endure decades of travel, and desirable enough to attract demand almost anywhere sophisticated luxury markets existed. Few assets in history achieved that balance so completely. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson these 10 gemstones leave behind. History was never simply about beautiful stones. It was about humanity's endless search for ways to preserve wealth, transport prosperity, and protect value in an unpredictable world. Long before modern banking systems connected nations, these remarkable creations of nature helped merchants cross deserts, nobles navigate shifting empires, and generations safeguard fortunes that might otherwise have been lost to time. The next time a gemstone catches the light in a museum display or a collector's showcase, it may be worth remembering that, for countless civilizations, it represented far more than luxury. It represented trust. And throughout history, trust has often been the most valuable currency of all. The greatest lesson from this countdown isn't simply which gemstones were the most valuable. It's that true wealth has always depended on trust. Long before modern banks and global finance, these extraordinary gemstones helped merchants, nobles, and powerful travelers preserve and carry their fortunes across an uncertain world. Which gemstone surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this journey through the hidden history of gemstones, please like the video, subscribe, and join us for more documentary stories exploring the world's rarest and most fascinating gems. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure.